Okay, this is Charlie Veitch. I'm here with Karine Peloffi. Yeah, good enough. Close enough. And she is a French-Canadian human being who I met just over a year ago, and we've kept in touch and written to each other and had coffees. And just want to do a quick disclaimer saying that Karine has a bad cold today, and she's feeling very, very ill. But we know that this is just an excuse she's using to not have to be that interesting or that exciting. No, it's not real. So Karine, just to remind the viewers who maybe didn't see our film from a year ago, what is it you do in terms of activism?
Wow, well, I try to merge different personalities within myself. So on one hand, I'm a lawyer. So I've been a lawyer for about 3 months in the last few months, but I got fired, so I'm not a lawyer anymore. I am still trying to make a documentary about climate change, and it was supposed to be about the legal and financial implications of climate change for energy-related investments. Now it's more about what climate change means in terms of cultural change and personal change, and why are we so kind of resistant to it, because it actually means we need to take our civilization, put it upside down, and be comfortable with that, which is not something that most people aren't comfortable with. And because it's so uncomfortable, I've been trying to bring the topic with humor. So over the past year, I've actually attempted to do stand-up comedy myself. That
must have been quite funny.
Not for me. No.
How did it go down?
Well, the first time I wasn't so bad, beginner's luck, and then the second time a stand-up comedian tried to help me, but I think he made me so nervous that I sucked more. So I quit that, and instead I've organized shows with professional stand-up comedians to get them to try to do climate-related material for the first time. And that will work really well, and that's all supposed to be part of the documentary if I get the proper consent.
The proper consent from the comedians themselves?
Yes, who are being slightly prima donna, and they're like, no, I wasn't good, don't use the material. But
well, they say most comedians are hiding a dark secret about themselves, which is why they become comedians. But
yeah, there's no other reason why you'd want to be in front of people and have them laugh at you than if you have some issues.
Yeah,
but to be honest, that's probably just the most honest profession you can have, because we all have issues.
We do. We're all messed up.
Most other jobs allow us to hide them rather than work from them.
So Karine, what is Emission Impossible, and why did you choose that name?
Well, because I'm slightly dorky, and it has all sorts of play on words. So there's e-mission, like a mission that you do online, because I wanted to start an online movement. Yeah. Kind of like what Charlie Veitch did.
Who's Charlie Veitch?
Love Police.
Oh yeah, that guy.
You should know him. He's quite cool. I mean, he's got, he was just involved in a massive controversy, so I don't know if this.
Yeah, I saw some hate videos about him. He seems like quite a bad guy, so I'm just going to avoid his work.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Smart choice. So there was like that, Emission Impossible, so it's like online. There's emission, which is carbon emission, climate change, carbon emission. There's the whole Mission Impossible, play on that word. Yeah. And it's perfectly bilingual, because in French, Emission Impossible also works. So I saw it big, you know.
Oh, clever. I thought it was just one level to it. I thought it was just a joke on Mission Impossible.
Well, I just spent a lot of time in my basement apartment thinking about the multiple reasons why I wanted that word.
I think there's a lot of people who watch YouTube who just spend a lot of time in their basement apartment watching YouTube as well.
But I was told recently by my, because I've kind of kidnapped a stand-up comedian who was kind of going along nicely in life, and then I showed up and I said, hey, help me out, and he was too kind to say no. His name is Luke. He's really a fantastic person.
Yeah.
Those types of people make you want to believe in humanity.
Yeah, because I've been lacking that a lot recently.
Yeah. People who are willing to just accept information that they didn't know before and change slightly the course of their life.
Yeah.
Accordingly. He told me that it should be Emission Possible, because otherwise it's not positive.
But it doesn't work. It's not enough syllables. Emission Possible. It needs to be Emission Impossible. So it's a song. Na 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 na.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the soundtrack yet, but yeah, I guess I'll
yeah.
At this point, I'm not going to buy another, what do you call those?
Buy another
Here
what?
Comes the Fever.
Here Comes the Fever. Brain.
The name on the internet, you type www.
Oh, domain address,
exactly.
A website. Buy another.
I'm not buying another one.
Yes, they've already got a Mission Impossible.
We're sticking that on.
So Karine, in terms of climate change or the general human condition, what are the biggest problems we face right now as a species?
I think it's in reconciling or in transcending.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that word?
Yeah.
The differences that the fact that we see as opposites, the well-being of an individual and the well-being of the community and the well-being in the short term and the well-being in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
We think they're kind of like either or.
Yeah.
And I think as long as we think like that, it's going to be horrible, both from an individual and community perspective.
So you're talking about the kind of struggle or the kind of almost the kind of philosophical difference between the individual and the community?
Well, yes and no, but I've been reading lots of Buddhist books, and basically the idea is that the hurt within is the hurt without. So the reason why we're fucking up our environment the way we is an outside mirror of how we're hurting ourselves inside.
Yeah, and why are we hurting so much inside?
Because it's inherent to the human condition to suffer. We're the only animal that has some sort of consciousness and is compelled to search for meaning and why are we here and all this stuff. And that feeling of being separate from other living beings and not knowing if there's others, that's definitely going to give you pain.
But the separation from other living beings seems to be a recent development, maybe 7,000 years ago with agricultural civilization in terms of agrarian people coming together in cities seems to have been the cutoff point for the separation. And for the preceding 1 million years, human beings, or Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, managed to live not in harmony, but live in nature. But now we've...
You wouldn't have seen a Cro-Magnon at a psychotherapist, that's for sure.
You wouldn't have seen a Cro-Magnon at a psychotherapist. I like that. That was, in fact, that's probably one of my favorite kind of pre-human humans. The Cro-Magnon sounds like quite an interesting kind of guy.
Big heads, long eyebrows.
Karine, what happened 10,000 years ago that human beings decided to rip the planet a new arsehole?
I think it's not even 10. I don't know. These are just my personal theories. They're worth what they're worth. But I think it came actually with John Locke,
the philosopher,
who was trying to argue that common people had a right to their private property.
Yeah. As
a way to counter arguments that were being made by kings.
Yeah, he said, well, if you mix your labor and your sweat and your time with something, it becomes your personal property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he was saying it as a way to counter what kings were saying, that we got all of this from God, it's all ours, and that's it.
The divine right,
to make an argument for the rights of people. Now we took that argument to the extreme.
Yeah.
And that's why we're fucking up, because when he said it, there was two provisos for his theory. Mm-hmm. One is that we do not waste. We're wasting all the time.
Yeah.
Second is that so long as there's enough natural resources for everybody else, and we're not doing that either. So I think that's why we're screwing it up. In terms of when did we begin to feel separation, I don't know, but the Buddha, how long ago was the Buddha?
A few thousand, 2,000-3,000.
Yeah, well, he already thought that the idea that we're separate from the rest of the world is an illusion. There is no such separation. Yeah. We're just all embodiments of the same reality.
So you reckon, so this, John Locke was maybe 250 years ago? And that... Maybe 300, 400? Anyway, yeah, he's an old guy, 1600s, 1700s.
Just go on Wikipedia, people.
Yeah, just go on Google, that's the answer to everything. But he's saying because we've taken the idea of private property to an extreme, you think it's messed up the human condition?
Yeah, I think anything taken to an extreme is going to mess up the human condition. Yeah. Anything. So, including green ideals.
Indeed. So for me, though, there needs to be a third way. We can't have state property or personal property. There needs to be just a kind of a Mother Earth property where no one has any rights to extract from it or destroy it.
Her name is Polly Higgins, and I think that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to get the UN to recognize a fifth crime against humanity called ecocide.
Ecocide, yeah, I mentioned that in one of my films, that very word, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm proposing maybe to help her. She doesn't know yet because I haven't emailed her yet.
Yeah.
That's something I'd like to do. But
what challenges do you think we have as an international community in a globalized world? Say, for example, we as Western libertarian, somewhat enlightened people, managed to pass through some very stringent laws to protect our environment and to prevent ecocide. How do you see the world stage affecting any potential turnaround of this industrial rape of the planet?
Do you have an easier question?
I do have easier questions. Yeah, basically what I'm saying is, how do we convince the Chinese or the Indians to be eco-friendly?
Very easy. That horrible WTO organization actually has exceptions.
Yeah.
Put it in Article 20.
Yeah.
You can put trade restrictions to protect depleting natural resources and species. So you could say, as a country, we don't want climate change, we don't want, or another raft of environmental degradation, and make laws in your country that make illegal any sort of activity that brings about these things we're trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could put trade restrictions on any country that tries to export shit to you that doesn't subscribe to the same ideals. You can do that. It takes balls,
mm-hmm.
but it's a legal way to do it.
It's a legal way. Would you say our politicians or our business leaders have balls?
To the extent that they can get sucked by their assistants, yes.
And to that extent only, I'd say.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like I don't watch TV anymore because I didn't pay for my TV license.
Good.
So I'm not really well aware of what's going on global stages, but I was very much one of those Obama, yes we can
mm-hmm.
type people, and I think he does try to do whatever he can, but he's got whole institutions that kind of don't want change to happen.
Mm. From your personal perspective, what does suffering and the destruction of the planet mean to us as a lesson spiritually?
I guess what I've been finding in the last year is, that connection between, it's not just, there's the suffering outside of us, which we can see and lament on, but that's connected with our own suffering. And so that's why I'm not sure, maybe I'm becoming way too metaphysical and it actually doesn't mean anything in the end, but the politicians aren't going to take decisions that are unpopular from their citizens. So until and unless people actually start seeing that their happiness is increased by leading more ecological lives, not for the sake of the ecology, but for their own sake, I think it's going to be hard to change anything.
Mm-hmm. We only have to switch on the TV for 5 minutes to see the grotesque promotion of the capitalist successful hierarchy way of life, be it The Apprentice or an advert for diamonds or an advert for a new Jaguar car. The kind of stench of success and privilege and being rich is it's fully permeated every aspect of television. Not every aspect, but all advertising.
The one thing television doesn't show, though, is that most rich people are actually miserable.
Yeah.
Like there's research that shows, I think it's in the US, they did it, like up to a certain amount of money, like you are happier with more money. But after,
and then you
hit it's $70,000 or something.
Yeah.
After that, increases in wealth don't result in increases in happiness. So it's a big lie.
That's right. It is 70,000. It's about 40,000 pounds. I know exactly the study you're talking about. So I'll be happy with 100,000 just to throw 30,000 at travel.
just to put it out there, if somebody wants to give it to me, I'll be very happy.
Exactly.
Promise.
But then I feel bad even saying that, because that's almost promoting the very system which I see as destroying the planet and destroying human freedom. Is this?
So what's your alternative?
My alternative, I'm a bit of a...
You could film yourself too, you know?
That's true. I can film myself. I'm a bit of a... Or you film me for a sec. I'm a bit of an extremist, not in any dangerous sense or in any sense of hurting anyone, but I don't know whether the whole move away from hunter-gatherer, native living to our industrial civilization with universities and hospitals and airplanes has been a positive one per se. I mean, I have no evidence for this, but just from my own internal thinking, that if you're in harmony with nature and you're living a small tribal life in California or in Thailand or wherever, if you're a nomad in the deserts of Saudi Arabia, your connection to the everyday world is so pure and so spiritual that maybe you can unlock all the secrets of the universe, which we now need universities and internet and cameras and study to do.